on the digital wave, how will it, I mean, it will, everybody believes it will help the media and the entertainment business become a 2 lakh crore industry by 2020. That's according to a report put out by FICCI in association with E&Y. Digital media, in fact, expected to overtake the world's largest film industry, that is Bollywood, by that time as well. So there are interesting tugs and pulls and pressures, and to discuss about the opportunity and the casualties, if you will, in the sector, who better than industry veteran Sameer Nair, CEO at Applause Entertainment, joins us right now in our studio. Sameer, thank you so much for taking the time out. It's been a long time, so thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
So, what do you think? I mean, you know, it raised eyebrows. This article that we put out, which was essentially a republishing of the report, suddenly got a lot of people writing back to us that this was great and we didn't know about it, and you know what it could do to established industries, and we've already seen signs of that happening. How are you viewing this in a year and a half, 2 years of a bunch of OTT platforms already coming to the fore?
You know, actually what happens in our media business, and you've been in the business as long as I have, is that nothing ever happens in isolation. So it's all what I call overlapping universes. You know, so like as we evolve as a society and as all of it grows, new things keep coming up, and old things don't necessarily die out so fast. So like today, as we see, print is still growing, outdoor media remains effective, radio is still really powerful, television is growing, and films have progressed, theaters have gone down, and now on top of this OTT has come, right? So I think all of it is happening together. The big deal in all this, what's happening, is that it's putting a lot of pressure on the quality of content. You know, rather than like every time any new medium comes up, the sense is that will it destroy an old medium? I don't know whether it really destroys an old medium as much as it puts pressure on storytelling per se, in your business, on how well you report the news, when there are so many avenues to receive news. There are so many different ways to get that information. So how do you stand out, and how do you sort of, be that way? So I think that's what's the pressure that's coming up, that you're talking about going from, what used to be 10,000 to 15,000 movie theater screens to today 165 million TV homes, which is about 200 million screens, to then 600 to 800 million mobile screens. Yes. You're talking about that many number of screens in front of people, and people engaging with these screens in different ways, and yet consuming the same content. In a sense.
Yeah,
right?
True.
So I think the pressure is coming on that, on the content creating ability, and how different then businesses approach it. That how do you approach it? So like, do you therefore regard film as film, or do you regard your consumer first? What are you doing in this?
What do you think people are doing?
Well, typically how it goes, as always, is that old media first adapts to new media. So like what all print did was come to TV and then come to digital. So you can get most of your news and information on a Twitter feed or a WhatsApp or Facebook or from everywhere, from the internet basically.
Yeah, we are on the internet. Bloomberg Quint is only
pretty
on the internet,
right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to be in front of a TV or have a whole newspaper in your hand. Ditto, what the broadcasters are doing in entertainment is redistributing their content via the digital medium. So what you can get on TV, you can also get on Hotstar. So that becomes the first adjunct. And then the third thing that emerges out of this is people come up with ideas like yourself, which is let's be digital first, let's be a digital native, let's be born and bred in digital, and let's create original for digital.
Yeah.
And I think all these three will coexist and work. And finally, as a consumer, there's a lot of talk that happens about data as the new oil. I don't know so much about data being the new oil, but human attention is definitely the new oil. I read it somewhere, and it's always been and always will be. That finally our fight is not for anything but attention and engagement. If the more people who watch this today is that much engagement, it's not going to be how they saw it, through what device, were they in their car, were they in their house, it's that share of time.
True. Okay. So let's try and talk about avenues which probably get a larger share of time. Business news is a smaller audience.
Right.
Let's talk about general news or general entertainment.
Right.
Let's put it that way. And trying to get a sense from you as to, one is whether human attention is now slowly but surely shifting away from a television screen in front of you, or going to a movie hall to watch it, as opposed to watching it at your convenience. Now, the people that sadly we interact with, it's a bit of an echo chamber.
Right.
Almost everybody is in that space. You
True.
probably have a sense of what's happening across the country.
Right.
What is happening across the country?
I think what's happening is that, like when this whole mobile revolution happened and the small screens came out, there was this big, furor about, that now everything is going to be consumed on the small screen. It is typically the human sort of, human behavior that as you progress in life, as you get older, as you get richer, as you get more comfortable, you go for bigger. You don't go for smaller. So like, for example, when we talk about, we are moving away from TV screens and to OTT platforms, I do 99% of my Netflix consumption on my TV, right? In a sense. So the TV is actually just a device now. It's not necessarily the broadcast channel.
Right.
Similarly, all these things, like, like people are still going to theaters. The reason we don't go to theaters is not because we don't want to go to theaters, it's because the experience is uncomfortable. Right? Why is the movie theater business still big in the US? It's a 100% market, penetrated market. They've had, high-speed broadband for the longest time, right? They should have been the first casualties of the movie theater business, but they're not. They still do a $1 billion box office revenues and that kind of thing, because the experience is okay. Right? The experience is people like to go out for movies. They like to go out shopping. They like to do these things, So I think we mistake these changes by saying, like, okay, so a bulk of India would have seen a pirated Bahubali on their mobile phone. But that is also because they either can't afford the theater or it's no fun to go there, It's one of those two reasons. Or it's not even there. It doesn't even exist. See, India also has this problem that movie theaters don't exist. We've got 10,000 theaters for a country of 1.2 billion. The US has got 40,000 theaters for a country of about 300 to 400 million. So you're talking about, at a ratio, we don't even have enough theaters.
And in a country which doesn't have too many other avenues as opposed to the US.
I mean, if nothing else, forget avenues for entertainment or anything, I'd just say that we are a tropical country, hot, muggy, humid. If nothing else, have a theater with air conditioning. I think everyone will show up and sit in the theater, reduce crime, reduce everything, and we'll just hang out for 3 hours watching some mindless entertainment.
Okay, so that is one, the reach. Two is the ability to be able to monetize it. Now, what's your thought here? There might be, digital might be growing at a rapid pace. Do you think the ability to be able to monetize this content would grow as well? As of now, there is little evidence to prove that digital can make those big bucks. Sure, people are making taking baby steps in getting revenues, but what's the sense that you get from advertisers? Are they looking to put in big bucks into digital? Because frankly, the reach and the number of views on digital, in my experience in this 14 years and in the last 1 year in being pure digital, is that the reach and the number of views is far higher on digital.
It is. See, the thing is monetization. There's a lot of, there's a lot of talk about monetization. But again, it comes back to first intention and engagement, right? Time spent is the most important thing.
Okay.
If you look at any industry in the world, finally, when you look at industry sizes and you measure it back to time spent, it's either time spent or daily usage, right? Why is petroleum so big? Because we use petrol every day. Right? That's what we get up in the morning and put do it, use it, right? All the Facebooks and all these companies are big. Why is your iPhone, why is Apple such a big company? Because we use it every day, right? Telecom is because we use it every day. So this monetization, what's happening is that, see, models will be found, right? You're looking for customer engagement, right? So models are the ad-supported, original, advertisers will support. And I think Google and YouTube are making a lot of money in India. They dominate the market, and in their search and all those categories, they are like making serious amount of money. They're making more money than some broadcasters,
True.
right? As a group, right? Now you can argue that an individual person in the Google universe or in the YouTube universe is getting peanuts. That's because YouTube as a company can deliver 4 billion impressions this morning. But you as one of the people who are contributing to those impressions gets your 5 paise per view or whatever you get. So that's the ad-supported model. It'll keep growing because advertisers go chasing where consumers are, and they value it in different ways.
So therefore, will original content creators who might spend a lot of money in creating the content, or distributors of content as well, which may eventually use Facebook or YouTube for that matter to, or Periscope to
Right.
Essentially make the content reach more people, be able to make big money, or will it be dominated by these giants?
See, what happens is that genuinely, if you're doing original created content and if your content is good enough, you must put it behind a paywall, right? You must. I mean, that would be just what is expected of you to do that. So there will be the advertising supported model, which is your YouTube, open platform, and it's tough. It's very difficult because, you know, to make any sensible money, you got to get into millions of views, and millions of views are not easy to come by. There are billions of pieces of content. Discovery is hard. All of that is hard. It takes time. Plus, it's a long tail kind of thing. Subscriber supported content is stronger, powerful. Netflix is a great example of that. You know, that's how that model works. Then there are two other things that have emerged actually, and that's why I don't worry too much about monetization. One is what I call the e-com supported model. In many ways, Amazon is what? Amazon is a big e-com company that reasons I sell so many things, I might as well sell shows. I might as well sell some video. And I package it, you know, with an overnight delivery and this and that. So that's a different funding model. You can't really say that for every show that Amazon puts out, did they actually make the money for it, right? It's an overall package. And then there is the data supported model. Now you've got the big telecom companies who, you know, they require you to not consume data, they require you to guzzle data, right? So when you're going to guzzle data and you're going to make up, you know, do it in that manner, it will be packaged in that sense. Tomorrow you might have a e-wallet supported model, you know. It's basically, it's different industries converging, coming to getting a consumer engagement and maybe packaging all sorts of things with it. What content creators have to do in whatever context is that you have to still deliver that stickiness.
Yes.
Because no matter which model I'm working with, right, I've got to finally put it out on a screen to consumers and they must consume it. Right.
Okay, so here's my question, Sameer. Let's say I'm a consumer sitting in India. I have a subscription-based model in Netflix. Then there is Amazon. And you made a very important point, e-wallet based models. What if hypothetically a Paytm thinks that for all my subscribers who are coming to me, I'm also giving them for 300 rupees a package for the year, right? And there is enough good content available on all. You can argue that almost everybody says that Netflix is in a different breed, the others are not. But what about the rest of the pack who are making content in India and have a subscription model?
Right.
Will those survive when bundled up offers will only become larger?
Well, you know what happens is that finally, no matter what the size of the platform, you have to still create the content.
Sure.
See, the big story of Netflix's success is that it got built on the existence of a US market, which has been doing this kind of content for the last 25 years. Right? Now, when you arrive in India, it doesn't exist. If you come to India with $1 billion and say that I'm going to buy all the premium content and aggregate it and put it out there, surprise, there is no premium content to buy. Right? Because we missed that evolutionary step. We never had our HBO and Showtime moment. We've been doing primarily daily soaps on air for the last 20 years. So this market in India has got to be built ground up, right? Now in building it ground up, sure, you can have an aggregated model, you can collect it from different places, but finally, all this content has got to be created, and pure size is never going to do that, you know, which is why when you take the movie industry, you have the biggest studios and then you have the sleeper hit. Right? And you always have the sleeper hits in everything. And for that matter, the big studio puts out the big show and it just like sort of fades. You know, and marketing is not the solution to this.
True.
Because what we are increasingly finding in our digital world is word of mouth.
Word of mouth,
right? It
yeah.
is not marketing. The big billboard in Bandra is not going to cut it. What has to happen is that I have to tell you and you have to tell 20 more, and that viral, that thing is what drives it. So, and content is like that. I'll watch a show because you recommend it to me. I regard you, it's a peer validation. You tell me, hey, check this out, then you check it out.
Is there a short formula for success then? Or is there a method that we can safely say is working right now? Because peer-to-peer is quite unpredictable. And part two of my question would be, Sameer, out there is that in light of all of these uncertainties, I'm loosely using the term uncertainties right now, will so many OTT platforms survive, or as a natural course of business, some will fall by the wayside?
They will. Actually, see, in any industry, there'll be winners and losers. That was there in TV, it was there in print, it's there in every business. So in the same sense, this whole digital business will have its winners and losers. We don't know who are going to be the winners and losers now. Today, as we speak, it looks like some people have advantages and some people are too small, too weak. How are they going to make it in this big money war? But as we've seen in the media business, it's rarely money that solves the problem. You know, it's always the ideas that sort of cut through. It's never the money. So I don't know. I mean, there will be winners and losers. So not everyone will survive. Not everyone should. I mean, you know, I think there will be a degree of aggregation. I think a degree of, you know, consolidation will happen, which is good. If there is some level of creative consolidation, that will be a good thing to happen. The way we're building out Applause is to essentially create the content and then look to work with platforms. Because my reasoning is, if there are so many platforms, you still need to feed the consumer, right? You need to put out shows, you need to do all that, and you need that stuff.
And quality.
And you need quality, and you need a lot more. I mean, if you look at the Indian OTT market, and if you look at in between Alt and Amazon and Netflix, which is still to come, and TVF and AIB and Voot and Hotstar, combined, I think the market has produced 20 shows in the last 3 years. 20. I think the market's good for 1,000. Maybe 2,000. This is limitless, right?
True.
Because you're not going to watch everything today. You binge watch it, you consume it at your time, word of mouth builds, and over time it happens. The capacity is huge.
Okay. My last question, Sameer. You mentioned some bits of it.
Right.
Pay for content. Do you think that is where we will move to in 5 years? And will an Indian consumer be happy with the pay for content when there is so much of free content available? Because somehow we've seen that Indians, and I don't know if I'm wrong here, and I don't know if your experience is different, but Indians are very price conscious.
Indians are price conscious, but Indians are not cheap, and Indians pay. Indians pay actually for everything. I always have this example. It actually comes from our basic religious roots. See, Hinduism is a transactional religion. When you go to a temple, your default, you put money in the puja thali, you look up to God, and it's the only religion that still does this, as in a very definitive connection to paying. We pay for everything. We've paid for cable TV from day one. Maybe the broadcaster didn't get it, but the cable guy took it. And if you didn't pay your cable guy, he cut it, right? So you've always paid for TV. You've paid for everything. There's not, when you think about it, there's very little you get free. Now, if you look at YouTube, and you say YouTube is built on this model where you get all this free content, but it's a lot of user generated, a lot of pirated, that kind of stuff. But the minute content becomes better, right? The minute it becomes this thing, people will pay for it. The Wall Street journalists pay. Yeah. You read 4 or 5 articles free, and then you pay. You pay for the Financial Times, you pay for so many things. Today you pay for sport, you pay for your Tata Sky package. You're already doing that. You're anyway paying for data when you think about it. True. It's not free. So we have this notion that Indians are cheapskates.
No, I mean, not that much.
And I think
price conscious maybe.
People pay for movies, right? When you know full well that the movie is going to come on TV, for a package you've already paid, you still go to the theater and see it. Because you'd go and see it because you want the experience. You want those things. So I think as long as the onus is on content, I think we put too much, we put the pressure onto the consumer, we put the pressure onto the medium, onto the advertisers. I think the onus is on content.
So pay for content could well be a reality, and it could be a successful reality in India.
It is already is, and it will be. Actually, when you look at TV, advertising and subscription.
No, on digital, I mean.
No, if TV on 20 years has reached a 50-50 advertising and subscription, I think digital will go faster.
Okay, great. Sameer Nair, so good of you to take time out and join us today. It was really nice having this chat. Thanks for taking the time out and being with us today.